Well, finally, ladies and gentlemen, Douglas Murray has called out Piers Morgan because Piers Morgan decided to throw his supposed friend now under a bus during a recent debate that Piers had with the likes of comic Dave Smith and international law expert and barrister Natasha Hertsdorf. Now, Natasha and Douglas are good friends. They're also supportive of Israel. And as a result, because Piers Morgan has probably been paid off by the likes of Islamists, it seems that Piers is now taking the side of Islamists or more terrorists. Let's just go along with that terminology, right? And well, Piers invited Natasha on, as you guys have probably seen the footage already. The way he treated Natasha with such contempt and disrespect was utterly deplorable and disgusting. And Douglas was watching on, and Douglas was mentioned. And Piers Morgan threw Douglas under a bus, basically saying that Douglas has got no idea what the hell he's talking about, even though he's actually been to Israel, even though he was embedded with the IDF for his own safety, right? He still went there. That's more than you can say for what Piers Morgan has done, because all Piers Morgan does is sit behind his desk and do jack all, except lie through the skin of his teeth. Before we get into what Douglas Murray says, it's not just Douglas that is now starting to see it and countless others. John Spencer Guard over on X goes, Piers Morgan lies so much. I am not sure he knows the difference between a lie and fact. I said that on my show yesterday. If you haven't watched that video, you should definitely go and check it out, because Piers Morgan lies and Muslims love him because he lies so much. You know why? The Quran tells you to lie. Very, very clear about that. And if you lie nowadays, guess what? You get a much bigger audience. So Piers Morgan saying to people that may have like a following of 1,400 people, or even myself that has got like 81,000 subscribers at the moment, I'm small fry compared to the likes of Piers Morgan's supposed fastest growing show on YouTube, because he's hacked the system. All he creates is drama and lies. He gets people to go against each other. Yes, that part is genius, but on the outset, when it comes to real issues, Piers has got no idea. He's got absolutely no idea, and he just loves to lie, because lying gets you more nowadays in this kind of world than the truth. But I've always said, follow the truth, and hopefully you get rewarded. Natasha Hertsdorf is a British barrister, lawyer who supports Israel, international law, and truth. I hate bullies. I do too. And so does, you guessed it, Douglas Murray. Here is what he had to say to Brendan O'Neill from Spiked. Have a watch.
I was interested watching Piers Morgan a couple of days ago, talking to the international lawyer and friend of mine, Natasha Hertsdorf, and being exceptionally rude and dismissive and disparaging and really unprofessional with her. Really unprofessional, just shouting that she was talking bullshit and not allowing her to finish an answer, and just such ugly hatred that he was expressing towards what was just a different opinion from the one that he's found himself holding. And he turns to comic Dave Smith and he says, you know, these Israelis, so they're treating us like that we're just clowns, you know, sort of thing. Again, your other guest is literally a clown. That's his job. His job is to be a clown. The fact that I don't think he's ever said anything funny to my knowledge but it's like there in the name. Your job's to be a clown. You look a little bit at these people and you think, what do I have to pay attention to this? Where does it become serious enough that you have to pay attention? And I think it becomes serious enough that you have to pay attention when this falls into a groove which is just highly recognizable, and if it falls into that groove and it actually has some impact. And it's quite hard in our current media and the social media landscape to work out what is impactful. So that, as I say, there's been a sort of flattening process whereby an international lawyer like Natasha Hertsdorf, 20 years experience at the bar, is to be invited on as a guest with a comedian, and not just as equals, but actually as her then worse off. Her knowledge and expertise makes her less desirable to listen to than a comedian just riffing on stuff he's read online.
Yes, if you have a different opinion to Piers Morgan, he will let you know about it. He will just literally berate you. You can't get a word in. Doesn't matter who you are, but especially if you support Israel, good luck with trying to get a word in. Now, because Piers Morgan has switched sides. I made a video yesterday talking about why, well, Piers gave his reasons as to why he has switched sides. Apparently, he's not on any side, but it's quite clear that if you are attacking a international law expert and barrister over something you yourself know nothing about, and you're not giving actually something that really needs to give like some time and consideration to, like just saying, oh, this doctor over in Gaza is claiming that 9 out of 10 of her children apparently were killed by the IDF. Like, I think one needs to really investigate that story, especially if there is AI generated images to be used for that kind of claim. You got, why don't you have the actual real images there if that indeed did happen? And then also the conflating stories. It should be a journalist's job to seek out the truth, shouldn't it? Not just go on face value. Oh, you don't believe? Wow. Wow, you're despicable, you're deplorable. But Natasha, because she asked questions, she's apparently the worst. Like, Douglas can see the way Piers acted was like such hatred towards Natasha because she sides with Israel, because Piers has a different opinion to Natasha. It's absurd. Douglas also roasts Dave Smith because, yeah, Dave Smith claims to be a funny man, a comedian. And isn't it interesting how you've got an actual expert, an international law expert, and a barrister versus a supposed funny man, a comedian about a very, very interesting but also complicated issue. And Piers didn't have another expert at all to try and combat Natasha. No, he had a comedian, Dave Smith, the supposed expert of all things Gaza and Palestine and also Israel. And Dave Smith happens to be Israeli that's going against Israel. Interesting that. And then you've got Natasha, who is British, supporting Israel, knows the law, knows what Israel is doing, and also tried to use Douglas Murray as an example and a point of fact. But no, can't do that. And as Douglas pointed out, I don't think Dave Smith has said anything funny. I don't think he has. I don't think I've really laughed anything that Dave Smith has said, to be honest with you. They're both, Piers now has become a grifter, a lying grifter, and so is Dave Smith. And that's not because I disagree with them. I disagree with them 100%. But what I've seen of late is the grifting status. I will say something very provocative to get clicks, get attention, and that's it. Won't actually come up with any evidence to say, oh, what's Israel going to do? No one ever does. What's Israel going to do? Just leave the terrorist group to wipe them out? That's exactly what they want. Just won't say it. There's a lot to be said if you are an actual expert. You're invited on a pretty big show. Not going to lie, it's a big show. And then you are treated like you are worse than a comedian. You are literally nothing. Or because Piers decides to make you nothing. Piers is trying to make an example of you, but really he's just showing the entire world how much of a fool he really is. It's sad. And you can always rely on Douglas Murray and people like Natasha who focus on the truth, and they're not irate. They're not, they're not dingbats. They're very wise, very smart people. And when you've got smart people up against the likes of someone that's got no idea what the hell he's talking about, all that person does is try to berate and belittle the one that actually knows what he's talking about. That's how you know that you've won, they've lost, because they've got nothing. All they've got is just emotion, and they'll go on the attack. It's a sign of low IQ. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.